Okay, so I think it's a great portrayal of, that whole process. You have somebody who struggles a little bit, during C-sections, it is a surgery. So sometimes people will bleed a little bit more than is expected, but they get it under control. Then you have someone who has twins. That's not the most realistic, that you sneeze and they come out, but her whole pregnancy is that way. And then sometimes they say that if you have a really difficult pregnancy, your baby's really easy, or vice versa. Not a lot of like support to that, but they show them later with two crying babies, which is great fun, I can tell you, when they both cry at the same time. But and then the other one adopting, right? And then one kind of traditional vaginal birth. So I think kind of a cool way to bring all that together. And then once that baby is born, or babies are born, we call that the postpartum period, right? So we have prenatal when someone is pregnant, and then postpartum after they've given birth. Obviously, a period of time of a lot of physical and emotional and psychological adjustment, right? Oftentimes, when a woman gives birth, their hormones bottom out pretty intensely for a few days. And we sometimes call that like the baby blues. Super common, right? Almost every woman goes through what's called the baby blues. It's just like a sadness and a crashing. You've had something inside of you, one baby, two babies, however many babies inside of you, and now that's gone. And so sometimes as the hormones crash, people will cry and like have some emotional struggles. Then you add to that that they're not sleeping, right? And it only tends to make it a little bit worse. Yeah.
One, we've after they were born, they got and I'm like, I ended up having people taking care of her.
Sure.
Like she's suicidal.
Yeah.
Trying to deal with the postpartum depression and everything.
Yeah.
It gets bad.
It can. It definitely can, right? So, and like baby blues, common, normal, tends to go away after a few days, but people can get postpartum depression or even postpartum psychosis. If you've ever heard of like Andrea Yates, very famous case of the woman who drowned her 5 children in the bathtub. Because she believed that they weren't developing properly. That's really rare, but it's called postpartum psychosis, where people often, believe something very false about their babies and can even harm them. Postpartum depression, a little more common. People can become suicidal. The depression's intense. Versus the baby blues, which are very common, right? I remember my partner would like cry over nothing. Like she couldn't find a sock and just cried for like 20 minutes. I'm like, it's okay, I'll get you more socks, right? No big deal. And it's very hormonal, right? And so there's a lot of adjustment that happens when you figure that you have a change. And now that you have a baby or babies, you're not sleeping as much because babies don't sleep for more than typically like 20 to 30 minutes at a time, if you're lucky, in the beginning. And then you're also dealing with the crash of those hormones. Another big thing to decide right off the bat, and sometimes people decide this before, or it could be decided after, are you going to breastfeed or formula feed or bottle feed? Right. And you can kind of combine breastfeeding and bottle feeding together, but this is a choice a lot of people have to make, right? Most insurance companies will push very strongly for you to breastfeed, right? And the American like Pediatric Association recommends that you breastfeed for at least a year before you move to bottles. Babies can't eat like more solid food till about 6 to 7 months when they start being able to sit up. So for at least the first 6 months, they are solely reliant on either formula or breast milk. Now, huge advantage to breast milk, it's free. Formula is expensive, right? It's very expensive, right? One little carton of formula can be like 20, 30, 40 bucks, depending on what kind you buy. And they go through it very quickly, right? Costco, right? Buy it at Costco, right? Get the big things of formula. So one big advantage to breast milk is that it's free. And formula is expensive, so you could view that as a disadvantage as well. Yeah.
Nestle once make like a free trial of formula that lasts basically just until you stop producing breast milk?
I don't know. It's possible. There's a lot of like companies that will give you like a like sample of it, because sometimes babies don't tolerate every type of formula. It can be a little bit of trial and error, like the baby will throw it up or break out. And so sometimes like you can get like trial or samples. The hospital especially will give you samples of formula so that you can see if your baby will tolerate it. Right. So, I mean, maybe, right. It's a very big money making industry. And then during COVID, like there was a huge shortage of formula, which was really challenging for a lot of people, right? Made the prices of it go up even higher. Some other advantages of breastfeeding, it's really good for the baby's immune system. So in the first like 1 to 3 days, the mother produces something called colostrum, which is lovingly referred to as liquid gold. It's like the most nutrient-rich breast milk that they will ever produce. It's in the first like 1 to 3 days, we could say, after childbirth. So at the very minimum, if you could at least do this, right, that's typically recommended, but they tend to recommend about a year if you can, or a little bit longer. It's also possible to pump breast milk. So you can buy a pump that you attach to your breast and like it stimulates the breast and releases milk that you can store, put it in a bottle and have somebody help you feed a baby or babies. Other advantages here, like I said, it really reduces your risk of like certain diseases, obesity, diabetes. It plays a big role in reducing something called SIDS, which is kind of scary. It's called sudden infant death syndrome. Very uncommon, but there are cases where a baby will just die during their sleep in the first year of life. And it drastically reduces the risk of that for reasons that we don't quite understand. So some of the, those are some big advantages. Also bonding with a baby, right? You're spending a lot of time like skin to skin bonding with them. Some disadvantages of breastfeeding and using formula, again, very expensive. It doesn't have all those nutrients in it. One big thing that a lot of couples will do is kind of mix them. It sometimes backfires because the baby might prefer one over the other, but it's not uncommon for someone to breastfeed and maybe pump it. And then they also add formula because formula has some nutrients and vitamins that breast milk might not have. But it is something that a lot of couples have to decide, with insurance really pushing breastfeeding and oftentimes kind of shaming people who don't do it. And it can be a very painful process for some, right? Babies don't have teeth, right? But they're still sucking very strongly. It can be painful. And they're doing it multiple times a day, like quite a few times a day. So again, a big decision to make. In terms of things like sex after birth, as soon as a woman is fully healed and their uterus is returned back to normal, you can resume like any kind of like sexual activity. There are definitely cases where people get pregnant very quickly, what they call Irish twins, right? Where they have babies that are like 10 months apart. So you can typically resume like sex or intercourse like 3-4 weeks after childbirth, but people are often quite tired and dealing with having a new baby. So sometimes that gets pushed out. Any other thoughts, comments, questions, anything, stories, anything here? Tell you feeding twins is a pain, right? Right. You always see them feeding one, right? It was interesting trying to feed two. We did a lot of like bottle feeding just because we couldn't feed them at the same time. It's really challenging to do. Yeah. Yeah, so if the woman is breastfeeding, then they can't really take any kind of medication to help with it because that medication will go directly through the breast milk to the baby. So it's something that's typically weighed. Like if it's severe, right, then they might go on medication and start bottle feeding like formula. Or it could be just like managing it. It could be going to therapy. It depends how severe it is, but that's often a conversation that has to happen. You know, do we need medication, which then alters the way you feed the babies or baby? Or not, right? I mean, any comments on that?
And honestly, like, again, this is gonna sound really bad, but there's like, she's still not the same person. You almost 2 years later.
Yeah.
She's still not the same as she was before.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't make sound. What?
No. I mean, it's hard because sometimes things change you, you know, it can change your chemistry a little bit. I mean, life events can change our chemistry in the way that we are in general, right? And so, yeah, it's tough. Having support is a big thing, not being alone, right? Like, so if you have a partner or a family, you know, somebody who can keep you company so that you aren't alone. And then kind of weighing it from there, right? Hopefully therapy as well, right? To help have more support from an outside source. Anything else? childbirth, pregnancy. But have I scared you all adequately, right, with the labor, right? Every person that I know who's had children and given birth to children has said that they would do it again in a heartbeat. It's like you forget, right? They mentioned that in the film. And I think that's kind of a protective mechanism, right? Which is why so many people have more than one. So yes, labor can be painful, but it's typically, you know, a matter of hours and then you move on. So don't be too scared, right, of that whole process. All right, so what I want to do from here, I'm not going to lecture on chapter 15 because we had our guest speaker. Any thoughts or comments? I mean, I think Jasmine is really like great. She covered this kind of quickly, though. I have to say, I love who were the two who came up? Right, who came up and Sabrina, or she's not here, right? I love the little demonstration. It was so like cooperative, right, with the putting on a condom. But any like thoughts or comments or anything about the guest speaker? Right, anything at all? Hopefully it was interesting, yeah?
It's just good to hear that we have the sources.
Yeah, yeah, and that's something that I love that she covers, like you can get free condoms. There's like health testing and all sorts of like sexual reproductive health stuff that you get for free as part of like your student health fee, right? So free, right? You pay for it. But take advantage of that, even if it's just getting free condoms where you can go up and get them from the health center at any time, right? And then there's a lot of free services as well. Something I think good to remember, the difference between bacterial and viral infections, and remember the H's, right? The H's are the ones that tend to be ones that we can't cure, like herpes and HPV and HIV and so on. So definitely look through the chapter, maybe a little bit more on this, and hopefully your notes and things from her were a little bit helpful. One thing that I want to do, mentioned this and then one more thing. We've called these by a lot of different names over the years, right? Venereal disease, social disease, STDs, now STIs, right? So the name was changed several years back to sexually transmitted infections because not all of them show signs and symptoms. Actually, a lot of STIs don't show any symptoms. So sometimes people don't know that they have them. But these are infections transmitted by sexual contact, right? So STD and STI, same thing, but we've changed the name in kind of more recent years. The other thing, kind of going to the very end here, go down, Jasmine talked about this a little bit as well. You know, there are some things that you can do to reduce your risk of getting STIs. And we've talked about, you know, contraceptive and birth control methods, having conversations with partners is another big one, you know, practicing safe sex. And I have a little activity that we're going to do. And as I said earlier, this is probably one of my favorites because I think it makes like a lasting impression in a way. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a little like simulated STI activity. And it might make you want to wash your hands when you're done, and that's fine. We have hand sanitizer over here, right? But what we're going to do is I'm going to give you a card. And these are going to be random. I promise I'm not like singling you out if I give you one that has an STD or an STI on it. It's not because I don't like you. It's random. But I'm going to give each one of you a card. And at the top, line number 1 is going to say you are STD or STI free. Or maybe it'll say you have gonorrhea or herpes or chlamydia. These are based off of the rates in Ventura County in 2022, where 1 in 4 people between the ages of 18 and 23 have an STI, right? People who are sexually active. So what we're going to do is I'm going to give you a card. Don't tell anybody what's on your card. Please don't share it with anybody. And then I'll tell you what we're going to do from there. So keep your card secret to yourself. And then I'll tell you what we are. Again, these are random. I'm just totally picking them randomly. And again, don't share what you have with anyone yet. But I get eye contact with you as I hand you the card, right? Whatever. They feel really nice and really mean right now. I'm so sorry if I could do this. A few more. All right. Does everyone have one? Okay, so what I'm gonna have you do here in just a moment, and I have way too much fun with this in my mind, so forgive me for my immaturity here. You're going to have sex with 5 people in this room, right? I know, things you didn't expect. Things you didn't expect to do today. This is your opportunity to experiment, so have fun with it, right? Anyone will do, anyone that you want to shake hands with. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna walk up to somebody, right? Anyone, right? And you're gonna shake their hand. Shaking their hands symbolizes having sex with them, right? That's all we're doing, right? But you can still go home and say you had sex with, well, 10 people by the time we're done today. All right, I know, what a day, right? So you're gonna shake hands with 5 different people. So after you shake somebody's hand, I want you to reveal what it said on line number 1. Not until after you've shaken their hand. Okay, so if you walk up and shake somebody's hand, and when you're done doing that, you're STD free, and they're STD free, you walk away STD free. If you shake hands with somebody and you started STD free and they have gonorrhea, you now have gonorrhea. And the next person you shake hands with, you pass on that gonorrhea. Okay, you might have to make a mental notes, because if this goes the way it normally goes, you will likely end up with a couple by the time you're done. Okay, so ignore number 2. Number 2 is for the next part. So ignore number 2. So what you'll do again is you'll walk up to somebody, shake hands, and then you reveal. If they had one or you have one, you pass it on, right? So if they had herpes and you have gonorrhea, you both now have both. That makes sense. All right, so ignore line number 2. And then when you're done, when you've shaken hands with 5 people, I do have some questions. I love that picture. I have some questions for you to answer on a piece of paper that you're going to turn in for credit. This is a 10-point activity. So I'll put this up in a minute, but when you're ready, get up, shake hands, right? And then reveal what you have.
So loud, it's not great. Your face, but then you have to. 3 times. Already done those. Wait. That was my. Okay, well, now we still have a state.
Priceless. I love it. I love it. So take a couple of minutes, write out some thoughts on a piece of paper, and then we'll talk about it. All right, so write out just a couple of thoughts. It can be a bullet. It's not, doesn't have to be anything massive, but what did you start with? What did you end with? And then we'll talk about it. So what was your status when you finished? And then any like reactions that you might have. And then we'll talk about it. If you want to go ahead and pass your cards up, we're going to do one more round, but I'm going to give you a fresh start with maybe good or if you want to pass them up, look funny, right? Yeah, I don't blame you. All that activity.
Yeah. No, I love
Crazy how psychologically a game. They make us people watch hurricanes. That's the noise.
So I'll give you another minute or two and then we can talk about it together.
Leave back in this and actually. Yes.
Yeah, we'll leave around too.
I don't know how this one works.
That's okay.
So, very nice. No.
So. So I'm dying to know if you're still writing, that's fine, you can keep writing, but raise your hand if you started out STD, STI free, raise your hand. Look around, how many of you were STD, STI free when you started? Did anyone end STD, STI free? Oh, not a soul. Wiped everybody out. How many of you ended with only one? Two? Three? Four or more? The unlucky ones, right? Some of you had like all of them. Where are you listening? Right? So in this round, you used no protection. You had no conversations. There was nothing done to protect yourself. And again, not a single one of you ended with no STDs or STIs. Right? I think there's something to say about that, right? And when they say stuff like when you have sex with someone, you have sex with anyone they've ever had sex with, there's some truth to that, right? Which can be frightening to think about at times, right? But if somebody has an STD or an STI and you do nothing to protect yourself, the likelihood that you get it is high. And then the more sexual partners you have, the more likely you are to have more than one STD or STI. Now we're going to do a different take on this. And historically, the reactions are a little bit different, right? So you're going to have sex with 5 more people. You can choose new people, or you can go back if, well, so I'm going to give you your card back. I'm going to give you a different card, most likely. I shuffled them, so you'll end up with a card. I have no idea what, but we'll see.
And you still have the ones.
No, you are a clean slate. All of your STDs and STIs are now likely as well too. Right, everybody in here had massive antibiotics. And you're all clear. Okay, so again, you're starting off with a status, right? May or be different, may not be different. Like, I'm not even looking this time, because I couldn't be. All right. Yeah. All right, yeah. I'm gonna explain. It's a little confusing. Okay, I can't get through that. That's fine. So this part is a little bit different, right? And it's a little confusing. I should probably just completely rewrite them all to make it clear, but hopefully you can follow it. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna go out to somebody and shake hands with them again. Same person, different person, it's up to you. And then you're gonna tell them what you had on line number 1, right, just like you did last. But whether or not you acquired what they had on line number 1 depends on what you have on line number 2. Okay, so let's say you go up to someone and you're STD free, and you shake hands with somebody and it says, do not contract an STD or STI. So even if they had herpes, you don't get it, right? Maybe you were lucky, or some of them say you were lucky, you used protection, you had a conversation before you had sex. So you're gonna follow the rule on line number 2 for whether or not you acquired whatever they had. Okay, so if you're both STD free, then you walk away both STD free this time, right? But follow that rule. Then what I want you to do, just to kind of give you some different scenarios, is I want you to switch cards with that person. But you're only going to now pay attention to line 2. Still hold on to what you were on line 1. Does that make sense? So if you start STD free and you shake hands with someone and they had herpes, but you don't acquire it, you're still STD free even though you switch cards, and you don't get their herpes. Does that make sense? Right? So that way you get different scenarios, because not every time you're going to lose protection, or maybe not every time you have a conversation. So that allows you to have a couple of different scenarios going on. So again, you walk up to someone, shake hands, exchange what you have on line number 1, and whether or not you get it, for you, you follow your own rule on line number 2, and they follow their own rule. Then switch cards, and now you're still following line 2, but hold on mentally to what you had in terms of your STD or STI status. I would predict this one goes a little bit differently. When you're done, I have a couple more questions for you to answer, and we'll talk about it. So when you're ready, go ahead and stand up if you get confused. I'm here to help you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
No. So the rate of that in our county is less than 1 in about 30. So it's like, I had to kind of go with what we had in here. Yeah, so it's not as common, so, and it's a little more daunting. All right, so again, what did you start with? What did you end with? And then which one do you think is more realistic? So write a few thoughts, then we'll talk about it. If you want to pass your cards up, I will take them. You're all wiped clean again. And again, feel free to use it. So when somebody asks you what you did in class today. Wow, it's like we're 10 people.
Huh?
Let's. Mark, I do this. After COVID, I feel like I do that all the time, right? Like, I couldn't do this during COVID, right? Wearing masks, nobody wanted to do it to each other, to pretend to shake hands. But I'll give you just another minute and we can talk about it. All right, so if you're still writing, that's fine, but how many of you started out STD, STI free by show of hands? Okay. A lot of you, how many of you ended STD or STI free? Look how many of you, right? So just using something, some form of either a conversation or using a condom or some kind of protective method makes a big difference. How many of you ended with at least one thing, STD or STI? Right? 2, you went up 2, 3. Okay, so no one had more than 2, right? Versus the first time there were quite a few of you that had 4, right? So using these different things, like the different things that you can do to keep yourself safe, really has like a big impact. I know it's super uncomfortable and awkward to have a conversation with somebody about STIs before you engage in any kind of intimacy. But think about like what we just did. If you don't have that conversation, you put yourself at an incredible risk. And you're basically, again, sleeping with everyone they've ever slept with in the terms of like STDs or STIs. What do you think? Which one do you think is more realistic? If you had a thought, yeah. I hope so, right? Like, I certainly hope so, yeah. Sure. Okay.
Either that or they don't know.
A lot of people don't
And
know.
so it becomes highly likely that you will be with a partner that didn't know or choose not to. And
Sure.
And you end up getting it either way.
Okay, yeah,
I think the first one's more realistic in senior living centers.
okay,
And I think so the most realistic answer is it's a mix between the two, because I
Yeah.
think statistically, the second
Right.
one we did matches kind of what's out there.
Mhm.
4 or 5 people in this class.
yeah, yeah.
So I think it's like a balance between the two.
Yeah, right, because not everybody has a conversation, not everybody uses protection, right, or remembers to ask, right? So it's probably somewhere in the middle of the two. Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's more like after for us going
Mhm.
and like, or they just like do a gamble,
Yeah.
see what happens, but even people I know that are super careful to catch something to this.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, hookup culture is a big thing, right? I mean, and so that really adds to the rates of STDs and STIs, right? So I have these things up here, using things and using them effectively. Remember, everything has a failure rate. So even if something as simple as a condom, right? They were done perfectly last time, except for checking the bubble, right? And the expiration, right? If that condom has been popped, now all of a sudden you're at risk for an STD or an STI, whereas you might not have been if you check that it has that little air bubble still. This is one that seems daunting. Jasmine didn't mention this, but the person who used to come in, she'd be like, pull out your phone flashlight and look at what you're having sex with, right? And like, that sounds so silly, but look at what you're having sex with. Like, there is like a level of truth to that. If you see warts, if you see blisters, if you see something visibly, right, you have a choice to make, right? Protect yourself or not. But if you visibly see something, your risk of getting one of these things is exponentially higher. It's just like when somebody has a cold sore, which is again a form of herpes. If you kiss someone with a cold sore, your risk of getting herpes is way higher than if you kiss somebody who doesn't have an active cold sore. Okay, so if you see something, right, you need to be even more careful. Right, being clean is another one. Like, it's not going to wash them away, but cleanliness reduces bacteria, which can also reduce your likelihood of getting some of these things as well. So just taking some kind of step, getting tested regularly. A couple of you went and got tested for your homework assignment, which I thought was great. And again, you didn't have to share your results, but knowing what your STD, STI status is also helpful. And when we were trying to get pregnant, we had to get STI tested. And I didn't think anything of it, like, until they went to give us the results. And it was like, oh my gosh, this could be scary. I didn't even, like, in my mind, I'm like, I've had one partner and like, we're monogamous and we're both women, like, I'm fine. And it was totally scary. And luckily it was fine. But they test you when you're pregnant as well, so that they can make adjustments if needed in childbirth and so on. Any other comments about your experience? I mean, to me, it's memorable. I enjoy this exercise. I think it's fun. The immature part of me wants to say so many more things that I kept in, right? But any other thoughts? Yeah.
This is such a stupid question.
No. Okay.
It's like, how can you tell the difference between cold sore? Because I
Yeah.
know I've had, like, when I was younger, I had like acne, like on my upper lip.
Sure. And sometimes they can look very similar, to be fair. Typically cold sores like are a little bit more open in terms of like the wound, but in the early stages, they can look very much like acne. But they tend to have more of like a blister look to them instead of like coming to like a head or like a head or a point to be sort of acne. So if you're not sure, I err on the side of caution, right? And so like my partner has oral herpes that she got from her mom. Her mom has oral herpes, her grandma has oral herpes. Probably what happened is her grandma kissed her mom when she was a baby, gave it to her. Her mom kissed her when she was a baby, gave it to her. I've been with my partner 20 years. Well, something, I don't have oral herpes, right? I don't kiss her whenever she has a cold sore. Like, it sucks for that week, but like I don't want to get it. So I think erring on the side of caution, after all this, knocking on with like a few more times after all this time, I haven't acquired from her, haven't acquired it from her just by following yeah.
When I was in there, with my but I did full source.
Yeah.
And I kind of found like a really good, like, way to get rid of it quickly.
Yeah.
There's like online, I think it said it was like a man-made amino acids of lysine.
Okay.
To buy it at the pharmacy, and literally it's just like a big tablet, and you can either take it, or you can apply it like directly to.
Sure.
And I had one like 2 days ago, and it's
Gone, yeah.
It's like a miracle. Like,
And there's a lot of over-the-counter creams that you can put on and then go a little quicker. People get them a lot to get antibiotics. But yeah, that's great. Right? There's a lot of things that you can do to minimize them. But if someone has an active outbreak of something, in general, you want to exercise caution. And sometimes it is hard to tell. I want to talk about one last thing because Jasmine mentioned it, but this is something I might ask you on the exam, and I want to just be really clear about this. When we talk about AIDS and HIV, which somebody asked, right? I didn't put any HIV or AIDS cards out. For one, just because that's a little bit more loaded of an STI, but for two, the rates in our county are actually less than 1 in 30. And we have about 30 people or so in here. So a couple of reasons why I didn't, but AIDS is the illness when HIV transitions over, right? So HIV is the virus that you acquire, human immunodeficiency virus, and AIDS is the actual illness that you would have. Now, this would be a great short answer question for you. What are the 4 bodily fluids that you can acquire HIV through? Now, and they are blood, semen, vaginal fluid, and breast milk. Notice that saliva is not one of those four, right? And so you will not get HIV from somebody through saliva. So sharing a drink, sharing food, kissing them, right? Those aren't ways that you would acquire it. The only way that you would acquire HIV from kissing someone is if they had an open bleeding wound in them. And you had an open bleeding wound in your mouth, and you kissed and swapped all those fluids. Okay, and I hope if you have open bleeding wounds that you're not open mouth kissing people, right? But that would be the only way, right? So blood, semen, vaginal fluid, and breast milk, not saliva. And so this is one of the reasons why we STI test people when they're pregnant, because if they come back as HIV positive, then we probably will do a C-section, right? Instead of having them vaginally born, because that increases the odds of that baby getting HIV. And we also would make sure that mother does not breastfeed, but instead does formula, right? So there are ways to reduce that risk, which is part of the reason why we do so much testing, especially during pregnancy. Yeah.
So through a C-section, the exposure to blood is less risky than vaginal?
Yeah, it's thought to be less risky, right? Because there's still blood in a vaginal delivery as well. There's often like that blood from the afterbirth. And so it's considered safer, right? And there's often one of the ways that it tends to be transmitted is through the eyes. And so the baby gets into a baby's eyes. And so there are drops that they put into a baby's eyes to try and like reduce that as well. So it's less through a C-section than through vaginal birth. It's considered safe. All right. So a couple of things, last thoughts here. So next class, when I see you on Wednesday, we'll move to chapter 16. We have 16, 17, and 18 left. So on Wednesday, we'll do 16, which is like varieties of sexual expression. Then we go to power and sexual coercion and end with sex for sale. So it's kind of a preview of things to come. If you could turn in your sheets with your name on it for credit, wash your hands, have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you on Wednesday.
Ours felt clearer than that activity.
Yeah, I agree.